Hello, and welcome to our implementation webinar covering Labster and Google Classroom. Here's an overview of what we'll be covering here today. We'll start with looking at the Labster onboarding process. Then we'll follow it up with a simulation upload demonstration and finish out with the Labster support overview as well as best practices. First, here is the Labster onboarding overview. Now that your school is purchased, these are the next steps in the process. You'll be introduced to your customer success manager as well as your account manager. Your customer success manager is going to be responsible for your onboarding process. They will ensure that Labster is integrated into Google Classroom. Once you have been integrated into Google Classroom, teachers will then be onboarded via an email link to activate their account. Once that has been completed, the next step is going to be holding a faculty training session. This will be led by your customer success manager, who will teach faculty how to upload simulations, how students will access simulations, as well as answer any questions that you may have. Then finally, you'll be reintroduced to your account manager, who will be with you throughout the duration of your contract and will support you with anything from usage to renewal questions and conversations. So let's dive in on how to add simulations into your Google Classroom. First, you'll go to my.labster.com. Here on the right side, you'll see the option to log in with Google Classroom. When you log in with Google Classroom, it's important that you select the email that is associated with your Google Classroom courses. Once you have selected that email, you'll be brought to your Labster dashboard, which will automatically sync any courses you have tied to that Google license or that Google email address. You'll see here it takes just a moment for those courses to sync, and then I can click close. Now all of my courses that I have tied to my email address are now synced to my Labster dashboard. I have the ability to toggle and look through all the different courses that I have available. For the sake of today's webinar, we'll look at my test course here. When I click on the test course, it's going to give me an overview of everything that's been done so far. So this is where all of the course activity lives. So you can see the number of students invited versus active. You can see the number of students that have played and completed simulations. To add a new simulation, I'm going to click here on the simulations button. When I click on the button, I'm going to click the blue Add Simulations button here on the right. This is going to bring you to the course catalog. From here, you have the option to look at course packages. These are pre-made simulation bunches that align to a specific topic area. So under biology, you'll see we have a wide variety of topics that are already filled with simulations that align to those topics. You can also click on the simulations tab and apply a variety of different filters and look for individual simulations on your own. I'm going to scroll down and find a simulation that I'm interested in assigning to my students. I see advanced acids and bases here, and I can see that it's applicable to high school, higher ed, and chemistry students. It's also compatible on a laptop, iPad, or a Chromebook. Before I add it to my course, I want to take a deeper dive into the simulation itself. So I'm going to click here on the simulation, and it brings me to the simulation window. This window just gives me an overview of the objectives, related standards, and any lab techniques that may be taught within this simulation. You'll also see up here that there's a screencast that's already begun for me that's giving me a glimpse into what the simulation will have the students be doing. I can still take a deeper dive into the simulation by clicking on the Details button here. Clicking on the Details button will bring me to the simulations homepage, where I will have a variety of different resources available to me, from a lab report to a lab manual, even in some cases exit tickets or student worksheets. Not all of these resources are available for every simulation just yet. I also have here on the right side the ability to actually play a simulation for myself to understand what the students will be seeing, or I can actually watch a simulation preview here. This screencast is a much shorter version of the simulation being played, but it gives you a good idea on what the students will be experiencing. As I scroll down, here on the left, you'll see the learning objectives one more time. You'll see an About section, which is a summary and an overview of the simulation itself. On the right side, you'll see those simulation features that include length, accessibility mode, and languages, any lab techniques again, and those standards one more time. As I scroll further down, Here we'll see screenshots that come directly from the simulation itself. If this is a simulation that I'm interested in adding to my courses, I can add it here by clicking the Add button. Now, in just a moment, I should see a notification that it's been successfully added to my course. So now that it's been added to my course, I can head over to my Google Classroom and make sure that it's actually been posted in the course. When I go to my Google Classroom here, it will refresh, and on the stream, I should see that I've posted a new assignment, and it should also populate under classwork. From here is where you can reassign it to students however you see fit. When students log in, they also will not need any Labster credentials to access the simulations. They simply need to have access to your Google Classroom courses. So when a student clicks on a simulation and scrolls to the bottom after they read the summary, there will be a link here that will open a new tab or window for the students to start completing the simulations. Now, as students have completed simulations, their grades will populate here on the dashboard within Google Classroom. The gradebook in Google Classroom just shows the overall score that the students completed. You do have the ability from your Labster dashboard to dive in deeper into the data, but here in Google Classroom, you'll just see how they performed overall and the class average for any completed simulation. I'm going to head back to my Labster dashboard here, where I will show you all the details on what you can view in terms of the actual grades. If I click here under grades per simulation, I will see the list of all the simulations I've assigned. This simulation was completed by a variety of my colleagues, and you'll see here the list of the students that have completed it or that have been invited to complete it, as well as their score and when they actually completed this simulation. You also have the option to take a deeper dive into any single student's simulation attempt. I'll click here on the student name, where I can see exactly how they did it and how they performed in this simulation and with the grades. This here to the right will also give me a deeper dive into the actual quiz itself, so I can understand exactly how they performed on the quiz. One of our newer features from the simulations button is the ability to actually edit the quizzes. So from here, I'm going to click on the simulation name, and you'll see that it says Edit Quiz. When you click on Edit Quiz, you can create a new quiz for this simulation, where you can add in your own questions, you can adjust questions, you can do whatever you need to do to make sure that the simulation quiz questions are aligning with your objectives for the day. You'll also be able to adjust some settings within the simulation itself, from changing the language to also allowing accessibility modes such as louder volume for students who may be hard of hearing. If at any point in time you wish to remove a simulation, simply click on the three dots here to the right and select Remove. When you remove that simulation, all the data will also be removed with it. And finally, you have the ability to adjust the number of attempts for a simulation. So here, I will set this number of attempts for the absorption in small and large intestines simulation to 3 and apply. Now students will have 3 opportunities to complete this simulation before it will no longer be accessible to students. Now from this page from your Labster dashboard, not only will you see all of the courses you have available, but you will also see on the bottom left-hand corner some resources available to you. The first one is the instructor resources page. Clicking on that opens up the educator's guide, which we'll dive into a little bit later. Under the support, we'll open up the help center. Again, we'll look at this a little bit later, but this is a great resource for articles, frequently asked questions, as well as how to. And then you'll see here student resources. And student resources will bring you to the actual student's guide to Labster. So this is a great opportunity to share this with your students so that they can understand how to use the simulations and how to use Labster to get the most out of it. But maybe the most important resource is at the bottom right-hand corner of all of our Labster web pages, which is our chat feature. Clicking on the speech bubble in the bottom right-hand corner will open up the chat, and you can communicate directly with one of our Labster support agents. This is a great resource for teachers. It's also a great resource for students. If you are in a time-sensitive situation and need to get an answer quickly, we always recommend using the Help Center chat to be able to find those questions quickly and efficiently. So next we'll look here at best practices. So these are the do's and don'ts for Labster. We always recommend using a laptop, desktop, Chromebook, or iPad, always using Firefox or Chrome, closing out, any websites or other softwares that you may have running in the background. That will just allow the simulation to run the most efficiently. Also, waiting until the simulation loads to 100% before starting it for your students. And finally, making sure that your IT team has whitelisted all emails that come from labster.com. This will ensure that your instructors are able to get their activation email for Google Classroom, and it will also allow for students to be able to be invited and join courses as well. So finally here today are some support and resources. I mentioned the Help Center. The Help Center is a great place to go to be able to find help articles, common troubleshooting answers, as well as the live chat feature. You can also go to Community Campus. We have a great extensive network of teachers from around the world, and the Community Campus offers them an opportunity to come together to learn a little bit more about Labster, hear best practices from other teachers using Labster, as well as get some ideas on how best to utilize their Labster simulations. And then finally, we have the Educator's Guide. And the Educator's Guide is a great introduction to you as an educator for everything Labster has to offer. All of these resources are available online at any time, so please make sure that you're using them to the best of your ability. If you have any questions about Labster, always use the Help Center from our website. It's super good. It's a super great resource, but also allows you to chat directly with one of our live representatives. That's all I have for you here today. Thank you so much for attending the webinar. If you have any other questions, please never hesitate to reach out. Have a great day.